All right, UFC 276 happens later on today, and I'll be doing a live at 3 p.m. Yep, 3 p.m. California time, which is 11 a.m. UK. Anyway, not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the UFC Hall of Fame. When they have International Fight Week, a part of the pomp and circumstance, a part of the celebrations is fighters being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it is an absolutely massive achievement, something that I'm personally very, very proud to be a part of that club. I've got the jacket, I've got the trophy, and I've got the bragging rights. Apologies. But this isn't about me. This is about Daniel Cormier, DC, the double champ, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. They were both inducted yesterday. I don't know if you saw the speech, but DC, being the character that he is, he came out and pretty much straight away said, look, listen, I did cheat. I did put my hands on the towel.
I think I may have grabbed the towel in Buffalo.
You know, and I think that might be very controversial to some people. However, the blame doesn't lie on Daniel Cormier. The blame lies on the commission that were handling that weigh-in. Listen, when you're making weight for a fight, you pretty much almost kill yourself. It is a horrific thing to endure. I mean, obviously it depends how many pounds you do, but if you're doing 15, 20 pounds, sucking that moisture out of your body, I did a video on how grueling it is, and you're literally very, very close to death. So when you go out and you go to weigh in, you think you're on weight, but sometimes your scale might be off. If you stand on there and you see a little opportunity to have a little cheat, to get away with it, anything you can do to not go back in the sauna and suck out a few more pounds, well, that's on the commission to notice. So obviously, if you recall, he put his arms on the towel. When the towel was being pulled tight and it's supporting the weight of the arms, that obviously makes you lighter. He came out, he had a little laugh about that. He admitted that he essentially did cheat. But hey, as Tito Ortiz used to say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And it wasn't up to him. I'll be honest, if I could have got away with that, I would have done it. That's on the commission. But anyway, congratulations to DC, a double champ, a glorious career, went on an incredible run. Obviously, he knocked out Stipe to become the heavyweight champ. He was the Strikeforce Grand Prix heavyweight champ. He was the light heavyweight champ. He'll forever be linked to John Jones, but the career that he had was unbelievable. And of course, we had Khabib Nurmagomedov. Come on. Of course, he was going to be in the Hall of Fame. And it's a beautiful thing that they both got inducted together because they trained at the same gym. They're very, very close. They are literally brothers. Listen, these guys, they're brothers. So yeah, they're very close. So it was beautiful to see that they both got inducted at the same time. Of course, Khabib, 29-0, undefeated, barely lost a round throughout his entire career. I think maybe he lost 2 rounds out of a 60-round career, which is just unbelievable. Now, anyway, I have some stats for you about the Hall of Fame, how we got to this, how it came about, and all the rest of it. So the UFC Hall of Fame started on the 10th anniversary event on UFC 43 in 2003 with the old school OGs of the fight game getting inducted. Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock were inducted. Then the new UFC Hall of Fame came around. In 2015, the UFC Hall of Fame was given a big upgrade. 4 separate wings: the modern era, the pioneer era, the fight wing, and the contributor. All inducted at gala events in Las Vegas before big July International Fight Week events. And the former executive, Anthony Evans, who now works on this channel and put a poll up, he came up with the concept after consulting with people for months with other Hall of Famers in sports and entertainment, and that's how they came up with the whole concept. So well done to Ant. So the modern era is for fighters who turned pro or after UFC 28. Prior to that, I mean, come on, that's old school. The modern era after UFC 28, held on November 17th, 2000. UFC 28 was the first event to use unified rules of mixed martial arts, and it was considered by many historians and experts, including official UFC statisticians, to be the first ever event of the modern era. And the inductees were George St. Pierre 2021, Rashad Evans 19, Michael Bisping 2019, Rousey in 18, Uriah Faber 17, BJ Penn was also inducted in 2015, and of course Forrest Griffin, the original Ultimate Fighter. Technically, Rashad was a Hall of Famer 20 minutes before I was, but hey, come on, Rashad, I was the main event that night, so I came in afterwards. Then you got the Pioneer Wing for fighters who turned pro before UFC 28. They include Kevin Randleman, Rich Franklin, Matt Serra, Kazushi Sakuraba, Maurice Smith, Minotauro Nogueira, Don Fry, Baz Rutten, Pat Miletich, Tito Ortiz, Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Mark Coleman, Randy Couture, Dan Severn, Ken Shamrock, and Royce Gracie. Quite the list indeed, and absolute goddamn legends, every single one of them. The contributors. This is for people who made huge contributions to the UFC and the sport outside of actually competing and getting their face mangled in the UFC. And the inductees are Mark Ratner, Art Davey, Bruce Connell, Joe Silver, Jeff Blatnick, Charles Mask Lewis, and Bob Meyerowitz. Okay, now we've got the fight wing, the good stuff. No offense to the contributors. They're good. They do a great job. But it's the fights that we love. The fight wing, the UFC got the idea of inducting specific fights while consulting with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Rock Hall of Fame explained how some people, like John Lennon, were inducted several times as part of an overall band like the Beatles, but also for significant achievements as solo artists. So the UFC had the idea of honor significant contributions versus another fighter. So of course, the fights, some of the legendary fights that do deserve to be in there. The best thing about the fight wing is that it gives fans in the future a starting point to watch the best fights of all time. You know, if you're new to this sport, all you got to do is look at the fights in the Hall of Fame for the best fights. Go watch them because they're all amazing, okay? And of course, you got John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson, Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida. That was what a fight that was. Dan Henderson versus Shogun Rua. I'm telling you, I'm not the biggest Henderson fan, but that fight was just insane. Pete Williams, Mark Coleman, Matt Hughes versus Frank Trigg 2. That goes down as Dana White's favourite ever fight. Forrest Griffin, of course, versus Stephen Bonner. Now, of course, there's a lot of critiques out there. People like to slag off the UFC and they like to say that, oh, this is just a club for Dana White's favourite people. Well, that's nonsense because Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock are in there. Two people that have talked a ton of shit over the years, not only about the UFC, but about Dana White specifically. And as I say, Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz, all rightly in the Hall of Fame. So that kind of ends that conspiracy. Also, people might say the Hall of Fame doesn't mean anything. Really? We'll tell that to BJ Penn, because he was literally in tears. He was crying before he was inducted because it meant so much to him. Tell that to Don Fry. If this doesn't mean anything, then he was on death's door. He was going through a divorce. He was financially broke. And he said the only thing that got him through that tough time of his life was being inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame and the appreciation that he was given by the fans at the ceremony. So there we go. Now, of course, as I said, it's the class of 2022. We've got Daniel Cormier being inducted into the modern era. Record of 22-3 with 1 no contest. Of course, he was a 2-weight division champion. 3 defenses of the light heavyweight title, 1 defense of the heavyweight. He was a Strikeforce Grand Prix champ. Notable wins: Stipe Miocic, Josh Barnett, Frank Mir, Dan Henderson, Alexander Gustafsson. Some facts about DC. Turned pro very, very late. Was already 30 when he had his pro fight. He wasn't overly keen on fighting. He was an Olympic level wrestler who didn't really enjoy punching people, but hey, he certainly learned how to do that when he knocked out Stipe Miocic in the first round. Now, of course, Khabib Nurmagomedov, 29-0. Major achievements: lightweight champion, 3 defenses. No other UFC world champion has retired undefeated. I mean, that's GOAT status alone. Lost only 2 of 60 rounds in the UFC. Round 3 versus Conor, and round 1 versus Justin Gaethje. Officially, notable wins, of course: Gaethje, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Rafael dos Anjos. Now, a lot of people have this guy as the greatest of all time. Some people don't. Some people say it's John Jones. Some people say it's George St. Pierre or even an Anderson Silva. One thing that is not debatable is that he's certainly top 3. Whatever, he's in the conversation, he's in the discussion. Anyway, congratulations to DC, congratulations Khabib, congratulations to everyone else that's sitting currently in the Hall of Fame. Later today, UFC 276. I can't wait for it. I'm going to be in this hotel room here. I'm going to be with Callum. We're going to be doing a live 3 p.m. California time, 11 p.m. which is UK time. So if you're up, tune in. Callum and I are going to be making some predictions. If we get it wrong, we're going to do some shots of tequila whilst we're doing some instant reaction videos for the channel. So anyway, hope you're all well. Check it out. If you haven't subscribed and rang the bell, what are you doing with your life? Subscribe and ring the bell. All right, take it easy.